Hello children, welcome you all to the Form 5 Lower Biology class. Today we are going to discuss one of your first term content, food production, which comes under the SOW reference 5A. So these are the lesson objectives. So during this lesson, you'll be able to describe how glass houses and polythene tunnels can be used to increase the yield of certain crops. And also you'll be able to understand the effects on crop yield of increased carbon dioxide and increased temperature in these glass houses, and the use of fertilizers and the increment of the crop yield. And you'll be able to understand reasons for the pest control and the advantages and the disadvantages of using pesticides and the advantages of biological control methods. Okay. How glass houses and polythene tunnels can be used to increase the yield of certain crops. Now we will see what are the factors which are affecting for the rate of photosynthesis. Obviously the temperature, light condition, and carbon dioxide level, even the moisture content, right? Because in the photosynthesis chemical reaction, carbon dioxide and water vapor, these are the major raw materials. And in order to occur the photosynthesis, there should be sunlight. So this process is happening within the plant cells and even some algae and cyanobacteria. So growing crops outside does not allow farmers to control any of these factors, which are important for the growth of plants. So in the diagram, you can see a green house or a glass house. So within a glass house, we can control these parameters and we can increase the growth of the plants. So here you can see a glass house, or we call a greenhouse. So several conditions can be manipulated to increase the rate of photosynthesis. For an example, artificial heating, artificial lighting. Even during the night time, we can provide lights. Increasing the carbon dioxide contents and also regular watering. We can monitor these things using labels. So in this slide, you can see a polytunnel. So more commonly, these are called as polytunnels, and these are large enough for machines to work inside of them. So they can protect crop growth outside from the effects of bad weather, from pest. So this can prevent the entry of pest, and also this can regulate the temperature. So basically, they also increase the temperature slightly beyond the outside of the tunnel, outside of the environment. Now let's see the effects on crop yield of increased carbon dioxide and increased temperatures in glass houses. So now you can see clearly in these two graphs. First one is the rate of photosynthesis versus the carbon dioxide. So you can see when carbon dioxide concentration is increasing, the rate of photosynthesis increases and then it is becoming flattened. Why it's flattened? Because carbon dioxide has optimum now. There may be some other limiting factors which are affecting for the rate of the photosynthesis. So now let's move to the temperature graph. Up to a certain level, the rate of photosynthesis increases. Then after that point, after that optimum temperature, the photosynthesis rate quickly drops. The reason for this is the denaturation of the enzymes. Now we will see how the use of fertilizers can increase the crop yield. Okay, I would like to ask one question. What are the major elements that are needed by plants to grow well? We call those NPK. What are these NPK? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are the major elements which are needed by plants to grow well. So they can make crops grow faster and bigger and also increasing the yield. So the compounds used must be water soluble because we are adding those to the soil solution. Now we will see the importance of nitrogen. Normally, nitrogen is existing in this atmosphere as N2 gas. So these N2 gases are fixed by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So as nitrates and nitrites, even as ammonium ions, plants can absorb these. So these are needed to make amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. So when there are nitrogen deficiencies, we can observe the weak growth and yellowing of the leaves of the plant. Now this is phosphorus. So phosphorus is absorbed in the form of phosphates, PO4 3-. So they are needed to make DNA, and even they are the constituents of cell membrane. So lack of phosphorus can cause poor root growth and discolored leaves. Potassium, they are absorbed in the forms of various compounds of potassium. So they are allowing enzymatic reactions to take place to produce ATP in cellular respiration, as well as they are needed for the enzymes involved in photosynthesis. Now, lack of potassium, they can cause poor growth of flowers and fruits, as well as brown spots on leaves. So sometimes we can observe these things in plants. By observing these symptoms, we can have an idea about these deficiencies. Right, now we are moving further. Pest control and the advantages and disadvantages of using pesticides and biological control methods. So who are these pests? Pests can be insects and other animals, those who can damage to these crops by eating them. And even weeds, they can outcompete crop plants for space, water, and soil nutrients. Fungi, they can infect crop plants and spread diseases. So all of these can be controlled by using chemicals called as pesticides. So this is a chemical control method. Right, by introducing some other species to control these pests, that method we call biological control. So under pesticides, there can be insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides. Insecticides, they kill insects. Herbicides, they can kill plant pests. Even fungicides, they can kill fungal pests. Now, these are the advantages and disadvantages. So, advantages and advantages, easily accessible and relatively cheap. So, we can have an immediate effects from these pesticides. So, it kills the entire population of pests. But what are the disadvantages? When we are applying these pesticides for a long time period, organisms, they can develop resistance towards these. And also, they are non-specific chemicals and often kill some beneficial organisms such as earthworms. So they can be persistent chemicals, POPs, POPs, persistent organic pollutants. So they are highly toxic and they can remain in the environment for a long time period. And they need to be repeatedly applied. Right. Now we will see the biological control. This can happen naturally. For an example, like ladybirds eat aphids. So usually a species is introduced specifically to prey on the pest species. So let's take an example. Parasitic wasps can control whitefly in glasshouse tomato crops. And also they are based on a predator-prey cycle. Now let's see what are the advantages and disadvantages of this biological control method. So this is a natural method, so no pollution. This is eco-friendly. And also there is no resistance. Can target specific species. And this is long-lasting and does not need to be repeatedly applied. What are the disadvantages? So they may eat other organisms instead of the pest and takes a long period of time to be effective. This takes a long period of time. Cannot kill entire population within a short time period. And also may not adapt to new environment or may move out of the area and also may become a pest itself, ultimately. That is the end of this session. Now let's move towards the questions. There can be MCQs and structured essay questions in the classroom also. We have discussed so many MCQs based on this. So hereby I have attached one structured essay type question. This contains several parts. So first of all, I'll help you all to do part A. Let's read the question. NASA is investigating how to grow plants on space stations. As part of their investigation, NASA scientists looked at the effects of using different types of lamps on the rate of photosynthesis in spinach plants. First of all, please tell me whether you know what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process of producing carbohydrates within plants and even algae. By utilizing the sunlight, this happens within the chloroplast. So here the raw materials are carbon dioxide and water. What is the main product? Glucose. What is the byproduct? Oxygen. Right. Explain why the scientists expected a link between the rate of photosynthesis and the biomass produced. All right, children. What is the use of photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process of producing food. We need food to generate energy. So biomass means the amount of mass present in a certain organism, dry mass, right? In order to grow, we need energy. So this energy is produced by the carbohydrates produced by the process called as the photosynthesis. So that is the answer for that one. 2 marks can be given. Now children, you can try the part B. It is consisted of several subsections, Roman number 1, Roman number 2, and then part C and D. And there's a graph also. So you need to plot a bar graph to show the biomass produced for each type of lamps using the table given. I hope you all understood the lesson very well. Thank you for listening. That is the end of the presentation.